Good morning. Thanks for tuning in again today. We look at Exodus chapters 4 through 6 today. And in chapter 4, we hear God calling Moses, the commission of Moses. He is, in chapter 3, God was talking to him and Moses says, well, I don't really want to go. He says, but the first part of verse 4, or chapter 4, but suppose they don't want to listen to me. Moses wants some proof. He wants something to be able to show these Israelites, these people, and he says, what if they say, we think you're crazy? The Lord didn't talk to you. So the Lord, God says to him, take a staff. And he does, and he says, throw it on the ground. It becomes a snake, and Moses is afraid. And then God says, well, grab the snake by the tail, and again it becomes the staff. And he says, no, put your hand inside your cloak and pull it out. And it came out leprous. And leprosy was a terrible thing to have. And you had to separate and everything. But then he says, put your hand back inside your cloak. And he did, and he pulled it back out, and it was healed. And then the third thing he told him was to take some water from the Nile River and pour it on the ground, and it became blood. And God said, these three signs will show the Israelites that I indeed, the Lord, have sent you. And then Moses says, but I can't talk very well. I have a speech impediment, or I'm afraid of public speaking. And I remember taking speech class in high school and being very self-conscious of speaking. And it's still often, it's a difficult thing to do. You get used to it, but you do it. But Moses says, they're not going to listen to me, and besides that, they don't want to hear somebody like me talk. I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor even now that you have spoken to me. I'm slow of speech. And God says, but who gives speech to the mouth? Who provides everything? God is asking him, where does everything come from? And then verse 13, oh Lord, please send somebody other than me. And I mean, how often do we have that same response to being asked to teach Sunday school, confirmation, to visit somebody, to call on somebody, in a pastoral fashion? How often do we find excuses and say, I'm too busy, I am this or that? But it's often the people that are the busiest, that have the most going on, that will find time to do things. And I'm guilty of saying that to someone not so long ago. They wondered if I would be interested in doing this. And I said, I'm really not looking for more to do right now. And it comes to a point in life where we do need to slow down, but yet, we need to balance what we have. But Moses says, oh Lord, please send somebody other than me. I mean, he fled from Egypt because he was afraid for his life. And he's been gone for quite a few years, and then God reassures him, everybody that was looking to kill you, they're all gone. Nobody remembers anymore. And he says, take the staff in your hand and go. And when you get to Egypt, make sure that you do all of these signs before Pharaoh. But I'm going to warn you right now, he says, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart. God tells Moses ahead of time, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart so that he will not let my people go. Why? So that I can show them that I really am God. That, if they refuse to let me go. And even here in this chapter 4, verse 23, God says, but you refused to let him go. He's talking about what Moses will say to Pharaoh, I will kill your firstborn son. So there's an indication here of the plagues that'll come. And then verse 24 is one of those that brings, you wonder, it says, on the way at a place where they spent the night, the Lord met him, Moses, and tried to kill him. Well, why would this happen? But the common belief, or the thought behind this, is that one of Moses' sons hadn't been circumcised. And so it tells us that his wife circumcises this son right away. And because this was one of the things that, that God had said to Abraham and to Isaac, this is one of the things that you need to do. So, but it's still, it brings me a little bit of heartache to think that, that this was going to happen. But this is the common belief on that, just in case you have read and kind of wondered about that one. And then, and God has said to Moses, your brother Aaron speaks quite eloquently, and I will speak to you, and you can speak to Aaron. And besides that, Aaron is ready, and he's going to be meeting you. And then the Lord, in verse 27, the Lord said to Aaron, go into the wilderness and meet Moses. So Aaron and Moses meet out in the wilderness, before they get to Egypt, where Pharaoh is, and they travel together. And it says, Moses and Aaron went and assembled all of the elders of Israel, and Aaron spoke the words that the Lord had spoken to Moses. They performed the signs in front of them, and the people believed. This is, verse 31, the people believed. They believed Moses and Aaron. They believed in God. They believed that God had finally heard their pleas. They'd been crying out to him, Lord, look upon this plight. And then they go to Pharaoh. And they say, let my people go. And we hear those words over and over. Let my people go. Moses coming to Pharaoh. Let my people go. But Pharaoh says, who is this Lord? I don't know him. I'm going to make, I'm not going to let him go. No way. And it goes on, and then the king of Egypt, says to the rest of the Egyptians, okay, no longer are we going to furnish the straw and everything for the bricks. The Israelites, they've got to go find all of that stuff themselves. They got to have to journey, and they're going to have to gather it, and they're going to have to bring it, but they still need to make as many bricks. They still need to have the same output, same number of people, but they got to do a whole lot more work now. And they appointed, more brutal taskmasters, and the taskmasters, it says you shall require the same number of bricks, for they're lazy. They're lazy. And how often do we classify people that way? Groups of people, nationalities of people as lazy. As, we have prejudices. Maybe I shouldn't say we, but there are many prejudices in the world in many different ways. And this is one of those prejudices. Pharaoh, what had he really done in life? How much really work had he done? What does he know about making bricks or any of this? But those people are lazy. He says, I can recline and enjoy my life, and it's no big deal, but those people are lazy. But anyway, the taskmasters tell him, now you got to go get your own straw, and of course they can't do it. And then the Israelites begin to complain against Moses and Aaron. What have you done? Here, life was hard enough before, and we've been crying out to God and saying, these Egyptians are, terribly overbearing, and they're punishing, and we need relief. And here you come with promises of God going to let us go. And what happens? Just the opposite. We get more burdens. We get a harder life. And then in verse 22 of chapter 5, Moses turns to the Lord, oh Lord, why have you mistreated these people? Why did you ever send me? Why did you ever send me? What? All you're doing is making life tough for all of us. But the Lord then says to Moses, at the start of chapter 6, now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Indeed, by a mighty hand he will let them go, and by a mighty hand he will lead them out of Egypt. And God says, I am the Lord. And then he reminds him, I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, as God Almighty, but by my name, the Lord. I did not make myself known to them. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan. So God is reminding Moses that he is remembering his promises to the Israelite people. Somebody's having trouble, I thought. So, well, I don't know what that meant, but hopefully it'll come through. So then God says, I've got underlined verse 7 in chapter 6, I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God. You shall know that I am the Lord your God who has freed you from the burdens of the Egyptians. You are my people. This is what God says to the Israelites. And then again, God says to Moses, go tell Pharaoh, let my people go. And then we have a listing starting in verse 14 of the heads of the ancestral houses of Reuben and, of the 12 tribes of Israel, of all of those that were there, that were now slaves that had come because of the famine and all of that years ago. And so we have the lineage shown there, and then in verse 26 it says, it was this same Aaron and Moses to whom the Lord said. So we're seeing the lineage track down, the ancestry of Aaron and Moses, and showing that they are of the 12 tribes of Israel. And it was those very same ones that God called and sent to Pharaoh. And then it's just a reminder, verse 28, on the day the Lord spoke to Moses, he said, I am the Lord, tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that I am speaking to you. But again, that reminder was Moses says in verse 30, I am a poor speaker. Why would Pharaoh listen to me? I remember quite a few years ago when I was first starting in the gifts program that one of the people in my class stuttered. And he really, he said, and I know pastors that stutter and have other speech impediments as well and different things that way, but this pastor said, I couldn't figure out why I felt that I should preach, why I felt that God was calling me to be a pastor. But he says the people that I serve don't even realize, they say they don't even realize that I stutter anymore. They hear the word of the Lord through everything that's going on. And it's just a reminder to me that God can use each and every one of us. It doesn't matter who we are, what we are, where we live, or any of those things. God can use each one of us, and he will. Looks like somebody else is having trouble keeping something going. So evidently I got a poor signal today. But thank you for bearing with. I appreciate each of you that tunes in, and we'll see if I can, figure something better out another day. Bye for now.